2 decades ago, a political party in whose symbolic shadow we stand today created an Education Act. This momentous decree was meant to be a great beacon of light and hope to millions of educationalists who had been seared in the flames of inconsistent provision. It was meant as a joyous daybreak to end their long night of captivity. But 20 years later, the teacher is still not free. 20 years later, the life of the pupil is still sadly crippled by the manacles of the national curriculum and the prescription and the chains of top-down, ill-thought-out reform. 20 years later, the teacher and pupil live on a lonely island of narrow accountability, in the midst of a vast ocean of potential learning prosperity. 20 years later, education is still languished in the corner of political expediency, and we find ourselves exiles in our own schools and in our own education system. And so, we've come here today to dramatise this shameful condition. We have come to this hallowed spot to remind ourselves of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing pill of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promise of well-researched, broad and balanced curriculum. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of prescription to the sunlit path of educational justice. Now is the time to lift our schools from the quicksands of educational and political injustice to the solid rock of freedom to do what is morally right for our children. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. It would be fatal for the educational world to overlook the urgency of the moment. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day this educational system will rise up and live out the true meaning of its moral vision. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all subjects are created equal. I have a dream that one day in classrooms around the country, the sons of former national curriculum slaves and the sons of former slaves to political educational reform will sit around the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even Michael Gove will be transformed into an educationalist. I have a dream that our children will one day learn in a school where they are not judged by the levels on their school tracking grid, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Westminster, with its ill-informed politicians, one day right there in Westminster, recognised educationalists will be able to join hands with a curriculum that is broad and balanced and based on the best principles of sound educational research. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every school shall be exalted, and every teacher and provider of education shall be seen as a professional. The profession will be made great, and the crooked places will be made outstanding, and the glory of our moral purpose in education shall be revealed, and all of us shall see it together. And when this happens, when we allow professional freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every school and every academy and every local authority and every academy chain, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children in every educational establishment will be able to join hands and sing, "Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last."